Welcome to Divorces in North Carolina, Sandra Dinkins. How much child support will you get? A question that lingers in the minds of many parents after separation or divorce. We're here to help shine a light on this complex topic, breaking it down into simpler, more digestible parts. Child support, a financial obligation that non-custodial parents contribute towards, plays a crucial role in ensuring the well-being of a child. It's a means to share the cost of raising a child, covering expenses such as education, healthcare, and general living costs. It's not just about money, it's about giving children the resources they need to grow, thrive, and reach their full potential. In this video, we're going to discuss the nitty-gritty of child support. We'll be providing a step-by-step guide on how to calculate child support, focusing on the specific guidelines set out by the state of North Carolina. We'll cover various factors that can affect your child support, such as the type of custody you have, the number of children you and your ex-spouse have, and your monthly gross income. We'll also walk you through the 3 worksheets used to calculate child support in North Carolina and explain how to complete them. We'll also discuss special circumstances, such as existing support obligations, childcare costs, and extraordinary expenses. And we'll look at how child support can be modified under certain conditions. Understanding the process of calculating child support can provide clarity during a potentially stressful time. By the end of this video, you should have a clearer picture of what to expect regarding child support and hopefully feel more confident navigating this aspect of the separation or divorce process. In North Carolina, child support calculations follow specific guidelines. These guidelines are designed to ensure that both parents contribute financially to the needs of their child or children. The applicability of these guidelines is broad, encompassing the majority of child support cases in the state. The guidelines are based on the combined income of both parents, and the amount of support is determined using a schedule of basic child support obligations. This schedule takes into consideration the number of children and the combined adjusted gross income of the parents. However, there can be deviations from these guidelines. For instance, if the court finds that applying the guidelines would not meet or would exceed the reasonable needs of the child for health, education, or maintenance, or would be otherwise unjust or inappropriate, the court may deviate from the guidelines. Another important aspect within these guidelines is retroactive child support. This refers to child support that should have been paid before a child support order was put in place. The court can order retroactive child support for a period of up to 3 years prior to the date of filing the action for child support. Also worth noting is the concept of support reserves. This is a provision that the court may include in a child support order, requiring the obligor to maintain a certain amount of life insurance or other assets as security for future child support payments. If you are getting value from this video, please subscribe. These guidelines ensure fairness and transparency in child support calculations. They establish a standard of support that is consistent across the state, while also allowing for deviations to accommodate unique circumstances. The ultimate goal is to protect the best interests of the child, ensuring they receive the financial support they need for a healthy and secure upbringing. Several factors can influence your child support amount. Let's dive into these key elements to understand how they can affect your child support. Firstly, the type of custody you and your ex-spouse have can significantly impact the child support amount. There are various forms of custody: primary or sole, split, joint, or shared custody. Each type of custody carries different financial implications, and the more time a child spends with a parent, the more that parent's share of child support may increase. Secondly, it's important to consider the number of children you and your spouse have. The more children involved, the higher the child support amount, as each child will need to be adequately provided for. The third factor is the combined monthly gross income of you and your ex-spouse. This income can come from various sources such as wages, tips, salaries, retirement funds, commissions, bonuses, dividends, profit from a business or partnership, or rental income. The higher the combined income, the higher the child support payment, as it is assumed that the child should benefit proportionally from the parent's financial resources. Next, existing support obligations can also affect your child support. If either parent is already making child support payments for children from a previous relationship, this could potentially reduce the amount of child support required for the current situation. The fifth factor is the cost of work-related childcare. If either parent incurs childcare costs due to employment, this can increase the child support amount, as these costs are often shared between parents. The sixth factor to consider is the number of days the child spends in each parent's custody. The more overnights a child spends with a parent, the more that parent's share of the child's support may decrease. Medical and dental insurance premiums for the child or children are the seventh factor. If a parent is paying for the child's health insurance, this can affect the child's support amount. The eighth factor is any extraordinary expenses for the child, such as the cost of braces or special needs care. These costs can increase the child support amount as they are considered necessary for the child's well-being. The ninth factor is other extraordinary expenses, which can include everything from educational costs to travel expenses for visitation. These costs are often divided proportionally between the parents based on their respective incomes. Finally, the 10th factor is any potential modifications to the child support. These modifications can be made if there is a significant change in circumstances, such as a substantial increase or decrease in either parent's income. These factors play a crucial role in determining the final child support amount. Understanding these factors can help you navigate the complex process of child support calculations. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. Worksheets A, B, and C, tools designed to help calculate child support in North Carolina. As we move forward, let's delve deeper into these three essential tools. Each worksheet serves a unique purpose, tailoring to different custody situations. Worksheet A is for primary custody. This worksheet is employed when one parent has the child for more than 243 nights a year. It calculates the support based on the custodial parent's income and expenses. Switching gears to Worksheet B, it's used for shared custody. This worksheet comes into the picture when each parent has the child for at least 123 nights per year. It takes into account the income and expenses of both parents and the amount of time the child spends with each of them. Lastly, we have Worksheet C. This one is a bit more complex as it's used for split custody. Split custody is when there are multiple children, and each parent has primary custody of at least one child. The worksheet balances the needs of each child, considering the income and expenses of both parents. Now that we understand the purpose of each worksheet, let's talk about how to factor in the various elements when completing them. Firstly, keep in mind that the North Carolina Child Support Guidelines apply to spouses who make less than $40,000 a month. This means that if you or your spouse's income exceeds this amount, you may need to seek legal advice for your child support calculations. Secondly, pre-existing child support payments, work-related childcare costs, and the number of days the child spends in your custody, among other factors, all play a role in the calculation. It's crucial to account for all these elements accurately to ensure a fair outcome. Thirdly, don't forget to consider the extraordinary expenses. These can include costs like braces, special needs care, and other unique circumstances. When you input these values, be as precise as possible to reflect the actual costs you incur. Lastly, if there's a separation agreement with a specified child support amount signed by both parties or a court order signed by a judge, this is the amount you will receive. However, this can be modified if a request is approved by a judge. In conclusion, these worksheets are not just forms to be filled out. They're tools to ensure that your child's financial needs are met. They take into account the many variables that make up your unique situation, providing a fair and balanced calculation. Correctly filling out these worksheets will help ensure an accurate calculation of child support. Sometimes special circumstances can affect child support calculations. Let's delve into some of these aspects to understand their impact on child support. Firstly, we have pre-existing child support payments. If you or your ex-spouse are already making child support payments for a child from a previous relationship, this can influence the amount of support calculated for your current situation. The courts take into account these obligations when determining the financial responsibility for each parent. Next, let's consider work-related childcare costs. If you or your ex-spouse incur expenses for childcare due to work or job search, this could weigh into the child support calculations. It's important to note that these costs should be reasonable and necessary for the parent's employment. Then we have medical and dental insurance premium costs. The cost of maintaining health insurance for the child or children is another factor that can influence child support calculations. If one parent is bearing the brunt of these costs, it can affect the final child support amount. Lastly, we have the costs for a child with special needs. If your child has special needs, the related costs could be significant. These costs can include medical expenses, therapy, special education, and more. These additional financial responsibilities can greatly influence the child support calculations. It's crucial to remember that these are not the only special circumstances that can affect child support. There might be other extraordinary expenses like costs for extracurricular activities or private schooling, which can also be considered. Remember, special circumstances like these can significantly influence the final child support amount. It's always a good idea to consult a legal professional to understand how these factors might apply to your situation. What happens if the child support amount needs to be changed? That's a question that many of you might be wondering. So let's dive into the topic of child support modifications. In an ideal world, the initial child support order would cover all the bases, adjusting perfectly to life's ups and downs. But as we all know, life is far from predictable. Circumstances can change, sometimes drastically, and it's essential that child support agreements can adapt accordingly. This is where child support modifications come into play. Modifications are alterations to the existing child support order. They can either increase or decrease the amount of child support to be paid. Now, a parent can't just wake up one day and decide they want to pay less. There's a process to follow, and it involves the courts. The parent seeking the modification must file a motion to modify child support. This motion is essentially a formal request to the court to review the case. The court then examines the circumstances of both parents and the needs of the child or children involved. But what kind of changes warrant a modification? Well, a significant change in income is a common reason. For instance, if the paying parent loses their job or gets a substantial raise, that can trigger a modification. Similarly, if the receiving parent's financial situation changes significantly, that too can be a factor. Changes in the child's needs can also instigate a modification. For example, if a child develops a medical condition that requires costly treatment, the court may increase the child support amount. On the other hand, if a child graduates high school and moves out of the home, the court may decrease the amount. It's important to remember that the court's primary concern is the best interest of the child. The judge will only approve a modification if they believe it serves the child's needs and maintains their standard of living. So there you have it. Understanding child support modifications can help you navigate changes in your circumstances. Calculating child support can seem complex, but it becomes manageable when you understand the process. We've journeyed through the North Carolina Child Support Guidelines, underscoring the importance of understanding their applicability and potential deviations. We've delved into the 10 crucial factors that can influence your child support, from the type of custody you have to the number of children involved. If you are getting value from this video, please subscribe. Additionally, we've explored the role of monthly gross income, existing support obligations, and extraordinary expenses in determining support amounts. Moreover, we've learned about the 3 worksheets used in North Carolina to calculate child support, each tailored to different custody arrangements. We've also touched on special circumstances, such as high combined incomes and the needs of children with special requirements that can influence the final support amount. Finally, we discussed how child support can be modified over time, ensuring that it continues to meet the child's needs. Armed with this knowledge, you can navigate the child support calculation process with more confidence and clarity.